Today's topic is quantum mind living based on quantum principles. As we get to almost the end of our classes, the ultimate goal is to use the concepts and the insights gotten to embody our quantum self, our quantum mind, to live to our highest potential and embrace quantum mind living to foster a more flexible, interconnected, and creative approach to life. And this shifts the view of reality from a rigid, deterministic system to one that is fluid and a probabilistic field influenced by intention, observation, entanglement, and superposition for personal development, mental health, and consciousness to unlock greater potential for change for the human mind to master its hidden abilities and experience things that science cannot explain. And the theory that the human mind has hidden quantum abilities, often termed as quantum consciousness or the quantum mind, proposes that classical explanations alone cannot account for human consciousness. And it is fascinating to explore the intersection where modern physics meets mysteries of human consciousness. When we move to the realm of quantum mysticism, we are looking at theories that suggest that the mind isn't just a biological computer, but a receiver or generator of reality itself through quantum processes. And while mainstream science is still catching up, several provocative theories suggest that our hidden abilities of the mind might be rooted in the strange laws of the subatomic world. And we can play, we can experiment with the quantum field principles, knowing things operate mystically at the subatomic level beyond what's possible at the classical physical level, where particles at this subatomic level exist in multiple places at once, which is superposition, and are interconnected and linked simultaneously and know the state of every other particle, and a change in one affects a change in the other, even over long distances, which is entanglement. And they don't exist until they are observed. That is the observer effect. And they communicate across space without any physical connection, which is non-locality. So imagine applying these beautiful quantum principles in every area of your life. The mystical is understood through experience rather than thought, and direct subjective experience rather than intellectual analysis. We have been in class, and most of us have been only using our intellect, but we cannot grasp these principles by intellect. It is time now to experience them by ourselves. So let's see how we can apply, experiment, and experience superposition in the various experiences we encounter. In superposition, particles embody all possible states simultaneously as a wave function, as a state of potential, as a cloud of possibilities on the edge of possibility. Remember, we are into the quantum field, which is a realm of infinite possibilities. So, this cloud of possibilities is a state of superposition. And your mind may present various scenarios, different pathways of thought related to a future outcome before it's made. And your mind can hold conflicting ideas and entertain multiple possibilities and choices and beliefs that can be in a superposed state when you are making a decision or looking for a solution. And your mind can weigh multiple outcomes to tackle previously insolvable problems. And your mind can experience multiple emotions at once, both happy and sad, or excited and anxious. And it can identify with multiple roles, personalities, and identities at once. So it can also have multiple spiritual experiences that can exist at once, either as a particle, a physical body present somewhere, or as a wave where you are virtually present in a different dimension. So your mind can navigate multiple states of consciousness simultaneously. Let us give specific examples so that we can understand how we can play with the quantum field using these principles. So imagine a case scenario where you are experiencing excitement and nervousness simultaneously before a panel of judges, either at a job interview or when you have to defend your research thesis, or when you are going out on a first date with your loved one. Excuse me. Or when your supervisor or parish priest or superior calls you to appear before them. How will you play with your superposition principle? And this principle can be harnessed to help manage feelings of excitement and nervousness. By visualizing the best case scenarios and shifting your focus from nervousness to excitement, you can transform nervousness into a source of joy and anticipation. And this approach encourages a positive mindset, which can lead to better performance and a more favorable outcome during that interview or during that meeting with your supervisor or loved one, which can lead to a better performance and a more favorable outcome when you remember that both excitement and nervousness are clouds of possibilities. They are a state of potential, and you don't have one fixed state yet. Both of them are still in the cloud of possibilities. Until you choose which of the superimposed state you prefer to operate in. So you do this with focused intention to think about or to observe the one you choose out of the cloud of possibilities. Are you going to observe excitement or nervousness? What do you prefer to observe? So observing excitement while holding gratitude and joy causes the wave function to collapse, forcing the superposition to settle into one state of excitement instantaneously, becoming real in the meeting with your supervisor, with the panel of judges, or with your date. That is one scenario. Let us go to another scenario. We are still on superposition. So imagine a priest or a brother or a religious nun who has just celebrated their 50 years anniversary, and they are feeling that excitement of having achieved this milestone in their calling. But at the same time, they are apprehensive and wondering if they chose the right profession, and they are considering leaving. So both excitement and regret are superimposed. So which of the two best suits you and your experience? Will you observe regret so that you can leave, or you will keep in that excitement so that you can continue with your calling? Let's look at a third scenario. And this time we are going into the other entanglement principle, where particles once linked remain connected across space to influence and reflect each other's state. A thought or emotion or decision you are having might be entangled with another thought, another emotion or decision. So let's look at a scenario where your negative emotion is entangled with some disempowering thought. Imagine you are struggling with the emotion of fear of failure and that disempowering belief of not being good enough, which are affecting your relationships, not only at the workplace, but in your congregational community and in your relationship with your spouse or with your superior. Entanglement can be applied to the emotion of fear of failure and the disempowering belief of not being enough by suggesting that these feelings are interconnected and influencing each other. Now, what you need to do is to separate the entangled states by visualizing the emotion of fear of failure and the belief of not being good enough, each of them existing in a different state. And this helps you to gain clarity and perspective. So after you have disentangled fear of failure from that disempowering belief of not being good enough, now entangle them with a positive state. First, you saw them as different. Now you are going to entangle them with a new state, allowing the positive aspect of this new state that you are bringing in to dominate and integrate with your conscious awareness. Now, let's say you're bringing in confidence. Now imagine collapsing this entangled state of not being good enough, of fear of failure with confidence. And you are going to repeat and reinforce this process regularly, reinforcing the new positive entangled state and gradually releasing the negative emotion of fear of failure and that negative emotion of disempowering belief that you are not good enough, as confidence takes over for both the emotion and the empowering thought, creating a new entangled state of confidence where the positive aspects of compassion and then where the positive aspects of compassion and the negative aspects of fearing failure and doubting that you are not good enough both coexist together in harmony. We can look at another scenario, and we are still looking at this. We are looking at entanglement. So let us have a scenario where a marital relationship has turned sour and one of the spouses is considering separating from their partner because of the partner's habits. But at the same time, They cannot bear the thought of not staying with their children. Put yourself there. So, in the context of entanglement, a scenario could involve you experiencing entangled emotions of separating from your spouse while still holding deep love for your children. Let that sink in. And this emotional state could be likened to the quantum entanglement of particles, where the state of one particle is instantly known to another, even if they are separated by vast distances. And when we apply this to this particular situation, your state of emotion of wanting to separate from your spouse is known by your state of the love you feel for your children. So both states are deeply interconnected, meaning that the state of your desire to separate from your husband or wife is known by the state of the love that you have for your children. And your feelings of separation and love for your children could be seen as entangled emotions, where your emotional state is influenced by your relationship with your spouse, yet you remain deeply connected to your children. So, how do we handle this? Now, imagine separating the entangled states of the desire to separate from your spouse with the love for your children. So when you visualize the emotion of love for your children and the desire to separate from your spouse as separate, each of them can exist in a different state. After you have disentangled love of your children from the desire to separate from your spouse, now you can entangle them with a positive state. And what can this positive state be? You can entangle love of your children and the desire to separate from your spouse with compassion. And how will this look like? Look into the eyes of your spouse and see your children in your spouse and feel the same compassionate love that you have for your children, feel it for your spouse as well. Because when you look in the eyes of your spouse, you see there the image of your children. And right now, you love your children so much, and you do not intend to spend a day without them. Instantaneously, this might trigger an emotion and a response within you to start feeling the same compassionate love for your husband, whose habits you can no longer tolerate. Hello, am I speaking to somebody? So you are now imagining collapsing this new entangled state of compassionate love and allowing it to dominate and integrate with your conscious awareness. And this thought experience can serve as a powerful metaphor for exploring the intricate nature of emotional connections and the challenges of navigating complex relationships. Is it beginning to take some clear direction as we give these examples? Let's have another example. And this time, we are having a scenario where we can use entanglement for a terminal illness, where the fear of the side effects of a lifetime of drugs can be entangled with the desire to stop taking the drug. So this entanglement allows for a shared state of the system, meaning that the state of fearing the side effects of the drug cannot be determined independently of the desire to stop taking the drug. And in the context of terminal illness, understanding the entanglement between fear of the drug side effects and the desire to stop taking the drug can help in developing personalized treatment plans that address both the psychological and the physical aspect of the condition. And this concept highlights the intricate relationship between mental health and physical health, suggesting that addressing the fear of the side effects can influence the decision to stop taking the drug. And the fear of the side effects of a drug is often intertwined with the desire to stop taking it. So this fear can stem from past negative experiences where the side effects of the drug had uncomfortable symptoms for this particular client or patient. So addressing this fear involves overcoming medication fears so that the patient remains on the drug. But if the patient is having psychotic episodes, they are not in touch with reality. And however much you try to explain it to them, they will not understand it. So it requires a family intervention where this patient is tricked to sit with the family, but behind the scenes, people who are very conversant with how they can take this particular patient to have an injection for a psychotic disorder are already in the background waiting for a signal so that they can come and take this person for an injection. After this person has rested for 2 to 3 days, their mind will come back to reality. Then you can talk about continuing the monthly tablets. Is this being helpful to us? So another case is where a 2-year-old, we are still on entanglement. Here's the parents making love, and the following morning narrates it in front of all the guests gathered for breakfast. And she is pushed on the wall and she faints. So in her adult life, she has grown to associate love making to death, and she faints when making love to her husband. She craves for intimacy and affection, but fears closeness. The relationship between making love and the fear of death can significantly impact intimacy, and love making can heighten the sensation of fear for this particular woman, as the body's survival instincts are activated during lovemaking, leading to breathlessness and hyper-awareness, which eventually lead her to faint. So this can create tension between the desire for connection and the fear of death, making lovemaking a challenging yet rewarding experience. So imagine separating the entangled states and visualizing the desire for lovemaking and the fear of death for each to exist in a different state. After you have disentangled desire for lovemaking from the fear of death, now entangle them with a positive state. And what will this positive state be? You can entangle the desire for intimacy and fear of death by seeing the act of making love as a particle experienced you can see it not as a particle that is experienced with a body blocked with trauma, but you can see this act of love as a wave beyond the physical body to experience the union of hearts. I will repeat this. You can entangle desire for intimacy and the fear for death by seeing the act of making love not as a particle experienced with a physical body blocked with trauma, but seeing the act of love as a wave beyond the physical body to experience the union of hearts where two become one. We are no longer seeing the body, we are seeing two hearts unifying. And this particular lady, when she focuses on the hearts that are unseen, instead of focusing on the physical body reaching orgasm, which she can see, it can get her out of the sympathetic stress response into the parasympathetic, where she can relax and reach orgasm without fainting. With this said, are we able to practice the concepts and the principles of quantum psychology in order to live our lives fully and be able to reach our maximum and ultimate potential so that we can live to that version of life that we require? And as we end this presentation, this is the question I'm leaving with you. As a practitioner in your field of work, how will you play and experiment with superposition and entanglement so that you can create that version of who you want to be and be able to have that quantum mind living based on how you play and experiment and experience the quantum principles? Thank you very much for listening. Enjoy your evening. Namaste.